Everything changes in the final moments of Landman Season 2 Episode 4. A single choice, a single look, and suddenly the entire story shifts into dangerous new territory. If you watched the episode and felt that strange mix of shock, confusion, and curiosity, you're not alone. Episode 4 doesn't just end, it provokes. It leaves you questioning every motive, every bond, and every promise made so far. And what makes it even more intense is how quietly the chaos begins, building in the background until it explodes right in front of us. Let's break down exactly what happened and why this ending might be the turning point of the entire season, before the ending hits us with its sudden twist. Episode 4 spends a lot of time building a slow, steady pressure that you can feel in every scene. The episode starts with a sense of uncertainty hanging over everyone. Characters who once seemed confident are now second-guessing their decisions. Allies seem unstable. Enemies feel closer than ever. And the world around them seems to be shifting in ways no one can fully control. This tension is not loud or dramatic at first, it creeps in quietly, showing up in brief conversations, long pauses, and the uneasy silence that settles between the characters throughout the episode. You can see how every person is being pushed into a corner by the weight of their choices. No one feels safe, and no one feels like they can fully trust the people around them. Small misunderstandings turn into major doubts. Promises that once felt solid now feel fragile. Even moments that look calm on the outside carry an undercurrent of fear. Everything is getting tighter, more unstable, as if the story is slowly tightening its grip on the characters. Not what makes this build-up so effective is how the show uses everyday moments to hint at something larger. A character's hesitation when speaking, a phone call that ends too quickly, a look exchanged in passing. Every little detail feels like a warning sign. The episode keeps reminding us that something big is coming, even if we don't know exactly what it is yet. The energy changes, the tone becomes heavier, and the stakes rise without anyone openly acknowledging it. By the middle of the episode, you can feel that everyone is trying to hold on to control, but that control is slipping through their fingers. It's like watching someone walk across thin ice, hearing the cracks form but not knowing when or where the ice will finally break. And that is exactly what the writers want. They want us to feel the discomfort, to sense that the ending will not be simple or clean. They want us to realize that the characters are heading into a moment that will test them in ways they are not ready for. This slow climb toward the ending is what gives episode 4 so much power. Because when the final scene arrives, it doesn't feel sudden, it feels unavoidable. Every step taken throughout the episode leads straight to the moment that changes everything. The characters might not have seen it coming, but as viewers, we recognize the pattern. We understand that the tension was building for a reason. And when it finally breaks, the shock hits harder because we felt the weight of it long before it happened. As episode 4 moves deeper into its final stretch, the story begins shifting in ways that feel subtle at first, but quickly turn into something far more intense. What makes this section so gripping is how the episode takes familiar characters, people we think we understand, and places them in situations where their true intentions begin to slip through the cracks. No one openly confesses anything, but actions start speaking louder than words. The calm front they try so hard to maintain begins to crumble. This is the part of the episode where the audience senses that the world around them is no longer steady. And every decision is about to spark a chain reaction they won't be able to escape. One of the strongest elements in this section is the shift in character behavior. People who once moved with confidence now hesitate. Those who seemed loyal begin avoiding eye contact. And characters who normally stay quiet suddenly speak up, revealing a frustration that has been boiling beneath the surface for a long time. These subtle changes add emotional weight to the story. It feels like everyone is carrying a secret, and the episode is carefully peeling back those layers one by one. The tension no longer feels hidden, it's out in the open, rising like a storm that no one can outrun. At the same time, episode 4 begins revealing the consequences of earlier choices. Mistakes that once seemed small suddenly come back with force. A decision made in episode 3 becomes a problem in episode 4, an ignored warning from a friend turns into a dangerous misunderstanding. Every choice is connected, and the characters start realizing they are trapped inside a web they helped create. The narrative makes it clear, this isn't just bad luck. This is the result of pressure, ambition, pride, and desperation all colliding at once. The episode doesn't need big action scenes to create drama. The emotional weight is enough. As the tension builds, communication becomes one of the most powerful tools in the episode. Characters start speaking in short sentences, choosing their words carefully, aware that one wrong phrase could set someone off. Silence becomes louder than arguments. The distance between characters grows, not because they physically walk away, but because mentally and emotionally they stop meeting halfway. The episode shows how human connections can fracture not through explosions, but through hesitation, mistrust, and fear of speaking the truth. These moments give the audience a clear sign that something is breaking. Even if no one admits it, the environment itself also plays a part in shaping the mood. The locations begin to feel colder, harsher, more isolated. There's a sense that the world around the characters is closing in. Whether it's a dimly lit room, a tense meeting spot, or a quiet outdoor scene where no one feels at ease, the setting becomes a reflection of the emotional turmoil. The characters are not just battling each other, they're battling the weight of the world they've built around themselves. The episode uses its environment to make everything feel heavier, more claustrophobic, and more urgent. By the time this section reaches its peak, the audience can feel that stability is gone. Everything that was once certain now feels fragile. Every relationship is under pressure. Every secret is close to being exposed. The episode makes you hold your breath, sensing that the characters are standing on the edge of a cliff without even knowing it. This growing instability is what turns episode 4 into one of the most powerful chapters of the season. It prepares us for the explosive ending by showing how close the characters already are to breaking. And once that instability reveals itself fully, there's no turning back. Everything is set in motion for the shocking final moments that follow. As the episode approaches its final moments, everything that has been simmering in the background finally rises to the surface. This is where episode 4 stops hinting and starts revealing. The slow burn tension turns into direct conflict, pushing the characters into a moment they can no longer avoid. What makes this confrontation so powerful is that it doesn't arrive with dramatic music or flashy action. It arrives with emotional truth. It forces certain characters to face the reality they have been running from. And it exposes motivations that were carefully hidden until now. The confrontation begins with an exchange that feels oddly quiet, almost calm, which makes it even more unsettling. There is no shouting. No one moves suddenly. Instead, the tension settles into the space like a heavy fog. You can feel that everyone involved knows exactly what is at stake, yet no one wants to be the first to break. This silence becomes more intense than any argument could be. Every glance, every slight shift in posture, every unfinished sentence becomes a weapon. It's the kind of moment where the characters are speaking without actually saying much, revealing more through their reactions than their words. Then comes the emotional break, the moment when one character finally decides they can't hold back anymore. This shift happens quickly but sharply, as if a string that has been pulled too tightly suddenly snaps. One confession leads to another accusation. A buried truth claws its way back to the surface. Two characters who once trusted each other now stand on opposite sides of a line that can't be crossed again. It's painful, not because of the words being spoken, but because of the history between them, history that once felt strong enough to withstand anything. This is the moment the episode wants you to feel deeply, because it marks the true turning point. The more the conversation continues, the clearer it becomes that this confrontation isn't just about the present problem, it's about everything that has been building across the season. The fear, the pressure, the guilt, the desire for control. All of it crashed together in this scene. Each character is fighting for something different. One wants answers, one wants control, one wants forgiveness, and one simply wants to survive the emotional fallout. These goals don't align, and that's what makes the scene explode in meaning. No matter how it ends, someone is going to walk away wounded, and someone else is going to carry a new burden. As the confrontation nears its final seconds, the episode adds a twist that completely shifts the direction of the story. It's not a loud twist, it's a quiet revelation, but one that changes everything. A small detail is revealed, something the audience may have overlooked earlier, and suddenly the entire conversation takes on a different meaning. This is where you realize that one of the characters has been playing a deeper game all along. Every choice they made earlier, every moment of hesitation, every half-truth, they were all part of a bigger plan. The episode doesn't spell it out. Instead, it lets the realization hit in a natural and unsettling way. And then comes the final blow, the last line or action that ends the episode on a cliffhanger. It's the kind of moment that makes you freeze, rewind, or sit in complete silence as the credits appear. The ending makes it clear that nothing can return to how it was before. The relationships have changed. The alliances have shifted. And a new danger has quietly entered the story, one that the characters haven't fully noticed yet. This is what makes episode 4's ending so powerful. It doesn't end with closure. It ends with questions. Questions that challenge everything the characters believe in, everything the audience thought they understood. Episode 4's final confrontation is not just a scene, it is the breaking point of the entire season. It's the moment that cracks open the truth, reveals hidden motives, and sets the future on a path that can no longer be controlled. And as the episode fades out, one thing becomes clear. The storm that's coming will be far more destructive than anything we've seen so far. The final moments of episode 4 leave behind a silence that feels heavier than any explosion. It's the kind of silence that comes after a deep wound, one that forces every character to reconsider what they thought they knew. The confrontation may be over, but the emotional damage continues to spread through the story like ripples on water. This aftermath is where the real weight of the episode reveals itself. Nothing looks different on the surface, yet everything underneath has shifted. The balance of power, the trust between characters, the direction of the season, all of it has quietly rearranged itself, waiting to be discovered in the episodes ahead. One of the strongest parts of this aftermath is how isolated each character suddenly feels. Even those who stood together in previous episodes now seem distant, as if the confrontation created walls between them that no one knows how to tear down. Characters who once relied on each other are now left staring at unanswered questions. They replay conversations in their minds, wondering where things went wrong or whether the clues were always there. This internal confusion becomes a key emotional driver, pushing the story into deeper, darker territory. You can sense that everyone is dealing with their own private storm, even if they don't show it openly. Meanwhile, the episode uses this aftermath to hint at new dangers forming in the background. A glance at a document, a suspicious phone call, a character stepping into a place they should not be. These small details work as seeds for future conflict. The writers intentionally scatter these moments to prepare the audience for the chaos that is coming. Episode 4 doesn't reveal the full picture, but it gives us just enough to understand that someone has plans that stretch far beyond the current problems. This hidden thread adds a new layer of mystery that the next episodes will slowly unravel. Another key element in this aftermath is the emotional toll left on the characters. Some feel guilt for what happened. Some feel betrayed. Some feel empowered, realizing they hold information others don't. And then there are those who feel nothing at all, something far more dangerous. Because emotional numbness in this world often leads to reckless decisions. This mix of emotions creates a fragile environment where one wrong move could start a new conflict. Episode 4 wants the audience to feel this fragility. It wants us to understand that the confrontation was only the spark, not the fire. As the episode drifts toward its closing moments, the tone becomes reflective yet uneasy. Characters sit alone, lost in thought. Others take steps that hint at secrets they're not ready to share. The world feels wider and heavier than before, as if the ground itself has shifted. The ending does not offer comfort or answers. Instead, it offers tension. A quiet, slow-burning tension that tells the viewer the real battle is still ahead. This is the calm before a storm. But not a peaceful calm, more like the kind that makes your skin crawl because you know something is coming. And that brings us to the question every viewer is left asking: what happens next? Episode 4 sets the stage for a dramatic shift in the story. Relationships that once held the plot together are now breaking apart. Alliances are forming in secret. Enemies are becoming clearer. And a new force is moving toward the center of the narrative, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The episode doesn't need to reveal this force fully. It only needs to show that it exists. That hint alone is enough to keep viewers hooked. That in the end, the aftermath of episode 4 is not about what has happened, it's about what will happen because of it. The characters now stand on unstable ground, surrounded by shifting loyalties and hidden dangers. The decisions they make from this point on will decide whether they survive the growing storm or get swallowed by it. And as the screen fades to black, one thing becomes clear. Episode 5 won't just continue the story, it will escalate it. Episode 4 doesn't just tell a story on the surface, it hides a second story beneath it. A quieter one. A smarter one. A story built from small details that many viewers miss on their first watch. This section of the episode is where the show truly rewards those who pay attention. Because the ending doesn't simply shock the audience. It communicates something deeper through gestures, background objects, silent reactions, and choices that seem minor, but are actually loaded with meaning. When you look closely, the final moments become far more layered than they first appear. One of the most important hidden elements is the way the characters position themselves in the final scene. Body language becomes a tool of storytelling. A character moving half a step back, another leaning forward, someone refusing to make eye contact. These are signals of shifting power. The one who stands still is usually the one with confidence. The one who avoids looking at others is carrying guilt or fear. These tiny details show us who feels threatened, who feels guilty, and who has already accepted the outcome long before anyone speaks. It's like watching a silent conversation underneath the spoken one. And this conversation often tells the truth more clearly than the dialogue. The episode also hides meaning in objects that appear in the background. A folder left open on a desk, a phone placed face down, a document with familiar markings, or even a personal item missing from its usual place. These visuals are quiet clues. They suggest that someone has been planning something in secret, or that information has been shared without permission. These objects are not placed randomly. They are deliberate hints that reveal a bigger scheme moving behind the characters' backs. When you connect these clues, the ending becomes less of a shock and more of an inevitable result of hidden moves made long before episode 4. Another subtle layer comes from the timing of the events. The confrontation doesn't happen at a random moment, it happens after a very specific sequence of actions. A message delivered too late, a warning ignored, a meeting that ends too quickly, a person appearing in a place they should not be. These timing choices suggest manipulation. Someone wanted the confrontation to happen exactly when it did. Someone benefited from the chaos that followed. The episode doesn't name this person yet, but it drops enough breadcrumbs to suggest that a shadowy influence is shaping the story from the background. This timing is not accidental. It's strategic. Then there are the emotional hints scattered throughout the ending. A character's trembling voice. Another character's calm reaction in a moment where most people would panic. A look of disappointment mixed with something else, something like relief. These emotional contradictions expose how each character truly feels. Some are breaking down inside but trying to hide it. Others are colder, more controlled, as if they saw this coming all along. The writers use these emotional layers to show the audience who is losing control and who is gaining it. The ending becomes far richer once you notice these signals. One of the most powerful hidden meanings in the ending is the idea of truth as a weapon. The confrontation is not just a conflict of emotions. It is a battle over who controls the truth. The character who reveals the truth gains power, but the one who hides it gains something even more dangerous, an advantage that others cannot predict. Episode 4 plays with this idea by showing how dangerous incomplete information can be. When truth is used strategically, it becomes more destructive than any physical threat. This theme quietly shapes the final scene, reminding us that the biggest dangers in this world are often unseen.